It's a nice and quiet time in Final Fantasy XIV. The hype is starting to build, the waves are calm, everything is smooth as we get ready for the next expansion. However, there is a problem. I don't think many people are ready to talk about the problem. The problem is stalkers. Yeah, it's not an easy thing to really talk about when push comes to shove. Stalking is not really something anyone wants to really talk about, but it's something that recently came to light because of plugins. Now, for a little bit of history, let's go ahead and step back a little bit. First, plugins are, well, actually, really against the terms and service of Square Enix. They have since come out and said that they really don't care about plugins that don't affect gameplay in any meaningful way or hinder their way of operating the game at all. You're using cosmetics on yourself or trying to go ahead and make your poses better like I'm doing right now. They don't care. They have made that very, very public. However, there is a plugin that very much got their attention, and that is a plugin called Player Scope. What Player Scope allowed you to do was to go ahead and scan any player you want and collect all the information about them, including their alternative characters, as well as their retainer names, as well as a metric ton of other data that you normally shouldn't have access to. Now, the reason they were able to do this is because there is a feature on Final Fantasy XIV called the Blacklist. The way the Blacklist works now is that you go ahead and add someone to your blacklist, you can no longer see them or any of their alts. Now, full disclosure, what I'm about to say here about how it works is just my understanding of it. I could very well be wrong, but here's the basic gist of what I understand based on information I've gotten from other people. One of the biggest problems that the Final Fantasy XIV client has is the fact that it makes characters broadcast their account IDs. Now, normally, you have no way of knowing this, but it is assumed that the reason they do this is that when you blacklist someone, you are blacklisting not that character, but their entire account ID. So the moment that your client detects that account ID you have blacklisted is within viewing range, it automatically erases them from view. The reason they do this, of course, is to lessen the server strain. The less the server has to do, the better, which means the more it can do. So there is some logic to this. However, this also makes it that if tools can go ahead and sniff out that account ID, it can go ahead and use that to access all kinds of information it normally shouldn't be able to, thus creating the exploit that Player Scope used. Now, when the Player Scope controversy was red hot, they did patch out the specific way Player Scope was sniffing account IDs. From what I understand, and I could be wrong, but I think Player Scope found a way around the fix that Square Enix put into place. And then shortly after that, Player Scope got sent to cease and desist and shut down all operations. The problem being is that Player Scope was open source. So many other little insignificant outfits could go ahead and take the tool and still cause problems for small targets. And for the most part, this kind of just sat on the back burner, and Square considered the issue solved because nobody knew if there was any other issues being caused by it. Enter the Memoria project. The Memoria project, which I would show on my screen, except for the fact the website is now gone, was an attempt to take this exact same kind of plugin. I'm not sure whether it is a brand new one or based on the Player Scope source code. I don't know. I really don't feel like going ahead and analyzing spyware to go ahead and find out. And yes, that is what this is. This is spyware. And you should treat it as such. Do not trust it. You should not be trusting this sort of stuff ever. Never, ever trust spyware. Ever. You got that? But in any case, the Memoria project, its whole goal was to not only host this plugin outside of GitHub, so it was harder to C&D and take down, but to also have a public database of people who have been scanned by the plugin and have as much of their information available as possible. Oh, but this is the kicker. If you wanted even deeper information, you'd have to go ahead and join their Discord, and then by linking those, you'd get access to the real deets. I was going to make a video on this thing showcasing everything, but unfortunately, before I had a chance to do so, and because I work full-time, the owner of the Memoria project got doxxed, ironically enough, and then felt it was necessary to shut the whole thing down. Who would have thought that trying to make a Stalker plugin was a bad idea? Which then brings us to today. You see, now I bring you a new kind of plugin. Introducing the Echo Vault. Which, by the way, is a very difficult website to find because there's all kinds of large language model projects also called the Echo Vault. It's really obnoxious. But the whole point of this is, again, just like the Memoria project, to go ahead and catalog as many people on Final Fantasy XIV as possible and be able to go ahead and get all the latest information on them. Now, it specifically says it stores no position and no movement pass, but here's the thing, you should not trust any kind of spyware. In fact, considering the fact that this is an independent project and not backed by literally anyone, you shouldn't trust any of this at all. I'd show you more of this website, but the problem is the fact that, in fact, the front page of this just shows a list of every single victim that has been scanned by this blasted plugin. And I am going to use the term victim in this case, because it shows all the information straight up. And yes, you can just go ahead and find all the information you'd want on it. Now, fortunately for me, it has not found me at all yet. And quite frankly, I hope it never does. But of course, they're trying to get more traction. They're trying to get more people scanned. And quite frankly, enough is enough. Because when push comes to shove, this is a tool for stalking. By every definition of the word, it can be used to go ahead and track people down to harass them. It can go ahead and be used for, you know, people who are popular, such as streamers or influencers, to find whatever character they use in their spare time for a game they enjoy and go ahead and harass those alts when they're trying to just go ahead and enjoy themselves. Or, you know, to harass our peers. That's going to be the primary focus of what they're trying to do. And if you want to go ahead and say, oh, no, you don't understand. They're trying to just go ahead and catalog the stuff. Yeah, you look in their Discord and it says otherwise. In fact, this entire Discord right now is nothing but people harassing each other because, of course, people who don't want to be stalked right now are trying to go in and demand their information being taken off and instead being laughed at. While the head guy, just simply known as Echo Vault Dev, who, by the way, made his account only, you know, a couple days ago, wanted to go ahead and just, you know, rebuild. Most likely, if I had to guess, this is the same guy who started the Memoria project. I don't know for certain, so I'm not going to go ahead and accuse him of being the same one. But, you know, if you had me go ahead and guess who it is, based on some of the language used, it seems to be that they're trying to rebuild what the Memoria project was. So more than likely, it is in fact someone rebuilding the Memoria project. So when all is said and done, here's what I gotta say. First off, just about everyone involved in here, if someone was inclined, can in fact press stalking charges. By the legal definition, they could. They think they don't care. People do. This is just awful. What I'd like to see done is very simple. I want to see Square patch their stuff. When push comes to shove, that's it. The actual game being patched and actually making it so that no plugin, no matter what, whether it be for convenience or for malicious purposes, can no longer be used. And honestly, idiots like this, I do want to see some punishment come to them, because they're just trying to be a-holes for the sake of being a-holes. They're not trying to go ahead and collect data for the purpose of whatever benefit they think they're doing. They're enabling stalkers. They're enabling some of the worst kinds of people out there. And they are making the game of Final Fantasy XIV a worse place to be. Plain and simple. There's no other way around it. And I'm not gonna lie, I debated making a free trial account, installing the plugin, going to the most remote server possible, and having it scan another free trial that I made in a controlled environment. But here's the thing. There's no way I could guarantee, even on the most vacant of Dynamis servers, that it wouldn't accidentally that it wouldn't accidentally scan anyone else. And yes, it would have to be in a VM, because I do not trust that this plugin is not scanning my computer for anything else. No one should trust this plugin. No one should trust this dev. Period. End of story. This is a malicious actor acting with malicious intent. Whether you think what he's doing is good or bad, regardless, you should not trust him. He is not trustworthy, and quite frankly, whatever comes to him, he deserves it. Unless it's, you know, actual harm. Legal ramifications, though, whoo! He's pushing it. Or she. Most likely he, though, let's be honest. But regardless, I don't care about likes or subscription on this. I can't even monetize this video. I'm not a big enough YouTuber for that. But I do want to say this. Share this video. Share this information. This should be well known. This should be shunned. And I want the devs of Final Fantasy XIV to know this is a serious problem. Major changes are coming to FF14. You cannot let something like this fester. You cannot let the safety of your users be in question. You simply cannot. And I know other plugin devs out there that have wholesome intentions but still use the account ID exploit are going to be upset if this sort of thing gets patched, but you know what? I'm sorry. It's for the best. Because this sort of exploit cannot continue. And these sort of bad actors out there cannot be allowed to continue to endanger other people. With that said, though, the comment section of this video is going to be very entertaining. I can't wait to see how terrible that's going to be. Get the word out and shut this kind of nonsense down. Bye.